If you're a strength coach and your coaching ability is miles ahead of your online presence, the next 15 minutes I have built exactly for you. My name is Coach Dylan. I've been a coach for 14 years now. I've owned two gyms. I've coached hundreds of people online, and I still personally coach people in person, coaching a heap of amazing athletes and some really cool people, just to prove that there is still a way to make a great living as a coach and do it from a coach first and a people first perspective. And so this video, if you do feel like you are behind with your social media content and your online presence, I'll build this exactly for you. It's what I wish I had. From what I can see is you're someone who can watch someone move, find a problem really quickly, make one correction, and then completely change how someone moves, lifts a weight, or goes about their day. You can help people get stronger, move better, and perform at a high level. And finally, help people who haven't been able to get progress in their lifting, their health, their fitness for years, finally start to make progress. But when it comes to marketing, you feel like you need to become a full-time content creator just to get noticed. I promise you, 14 years of seeing it all, you do not. You do not. What a lot of people think is you need to spend your day chasing trends, scripting endless reels, or pretending every video needs to look like a Netflix production, because you don't need to do any of that, because you're already doing the work that would build enormous trust with the exact clients you want. You're already in person solving problems. You already got great clients online that you're helping making corrections with. You're having great conversations. You're already getting results. The issue isn't that the proof doesn't exist. The issue is that you have a proof catcher problem. Your best work is happening on the gym floor, and then it disappears the moment the client walks out the door. So when it comes time to post, you sit in front of a blank screen, you pull out your camera, and you try to invent something clever from scratch. No wonder it feels exhausting. Of course it feels exhausting. You're trying to manufacture content instead of capturing what is already happening. What you need is a simple system that makes your coaching visible, and I call it the proof method. P, pick the right client. R, record the real coaching. O, outline the problem, correction, and outcome. O, output across multiple assets. And F, fuel the pieces that work. Let's break it down. So P is picking the right client. Okay, the first step is to choosing the right client to capture. And this is really important. I didn't say choose your strongest client. I didn't say choose the person with the biggest transformation. I said choose the right client. Choose the clients whose story represents the people you want more of. Okay, that could be a beginner who finally feels confident in the weights area. This could be a 50-year-old who, for their strongest years, were behind them. It could be an athlete who fixed a weakness holding back their performance. It could be a client who has stayed with you for 3 or more years, long term. It could be someone who stopped jumping between programs and finally made progress, or someone who can now train without the pain or fear that used to hold them back. The most impressive result isn't always the most useful proof. The best proof is your ideal prospect that can recognize themselves in. Okay, so what this actually looks like is that when someone watches your social media, someone needs to see themselves in that piece of content. And so the people you want more of, you just need to show them. Okay. A busy parent needs to see a busy parent. A nervous beginner needs to see a nervous beginner. An athlete needs to see another athlete solving a problem that they understand. Because when people see someone like themselves getting a result, that result suddenly feels possible to them too. So every week, what we want you to do is choose 1 or 2 clients whose journey matches the market you want to attract. You're not organizing a Hollywood production here. You don't need to set up fancy cameras, I don't even know how to say it, these JDSL cameras. You don't need crazy microphones. I literally finally got around to getting microphones for my own coaching business, and I get millions of views on my reels. I was like, my content production is horrible. What you got to do here, and this is where the biggest advantage is, and this is what I'm really proud of over the last couple of years of going deep on this stuff, is you're simply paying closer attention to the best work that's already happening inside of your business. Now, R is for recording the real coaching. The second step is to record the coaching as it actually happens, okay? Not staged exercise. You're not going to say, hey, Jenny, I want you to go over here and do this exercise and pretend that you saw blah, 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 blah. Not fake conversations, and definitely not walking slowly towards the camera, holding a dumbbell for absolutely no reason. Okay, what you're going to capture is real coaching. That's what people need to see. You want to capture these 5 things. 1, a real coaching cue. 2, a technical correction. 3, the client explaining what they struggle with. 4, a visible result or progress marker. This can come in the form of data, numbers. It really is powerful. And 5, why they continue to work with you. Okay. These simple questions, then ask these simple questions. What were you struggling with when you started? What changed first? What can you do now that you couldn't do before? What surprised you about coaching with me? What would you tell someone who is still hesitating or thinking about making the changes that you've made? The secret sauce to this is don't script the answers, okay? You don't want to give them a script. You don't want to tell them what to say. You just want them to make it their raw emotions. I find a really good way to do this is in their rest periods after they've just done a hard set, because they're not thinking, they're not procrastinating, they just speak. This doesn't turn it into an awkward testimonial performance. It lets them speak normally. It lets them think. Let them stumble over their words as well. Make it non-polished. Let the answer feel real. Because a client sitting down for a formal testimonial knows they are helping you with your marketing. But a client answering a simple question during a real coaching session is more natural. The imperfection is useful. It shows the relationship between you and the athlete. It shows your attention to detail, and it shows how you think. Showing the work is more powerful than simply claiming you're good at it, okay? This is why talking head reels, this is why education stuff is nowhere near as powerful as it used to. And this one framework of you showing your work is the content that's really getting through and helping coaches grow really fast right now. And of course, before recording or publishing identifiable footage, you got to get permission from the client, okay, about how it will be used. The proof needs to be real, it needs to be specific, and it needs to be captured ethically. Okay, outline the problem, correction, and outcome. This is where most coaches rule in good footage. They record an exercise, add some music, put a quote over the top, and call it content. It's entertaining, but it's not actually useful, okay? But random training footage is not proof because the person watching has no idea what they're supposed to be looking at. Every piece of content needs to answer 3 questions. What was the problem? What did you change? And what was the outcome? So what was the problem? What was the client struggling with before? What couldn't they do? What kept breaking down? What had they already tried? Then go into what did you change? What did you notice that had been missed? Okay, a quick example of this is you're coaching someone on their squatting is like, oh, what did you notice when we just did that cue? They'll reply back with what they felt. Okay, and this is what people watching will be like, oh shit, I feel that same thing too. I need to work on that. What technical corrections did you make? What changed in the program? Why did you choose that approach? Okay, what did you change? And this could be you. A client asks you is like, oh, why are we doing these slow eccentrics? Well, this is exactly why. This is why I chose this approach. When you give your full process, it becomes extremely powerful. What was the outcome? What can they do now? What improved? And how did it affect their strength, confidence, performance, or life? Okay. Problem, correction, outcome. That is the story. You're not just showing people an exercise, you're showing them how you make decisions. And that is what separates a coach with real judgment from simply someone who knows how to film good-looking content in a reel. Generic proof sounds like our client got results. Okay, but what result, for whom, and how? Specific proof sounds like this. She had trained for years, but kept losing position off the floor. When she broke the deadlift off the floor, she rounded her back, and she wasn't able to do deadlifts without hurting. What we changed was her setup and built the exact weak point that was holding her back. 8 weeks later, she's deadlifting with confidence, and she's also hit a PB on her deadlift. Can you feel the difference? Okay. When you tell stories like that, when you show the work, when you show the results, your thought process, it hits so much harder. A specific personal proof is always more believable than a generic promise of do these three things to help you in your deadlift, okay? The second R, output it across multiple assets. Here's where the system starts to create leverage. And if you are someone who's doing a lot of content right now, this one system will change it all for you. Here's one well-captured coaching session can become one proof reel, one educational reel, one client story carousel, 3 or 4 story clips, one email, one longer YouTube segment, one sales asset, and potentially one ad. Beautiful thing about this in the age of AI and stuff that we teach inside of our mentorship program is you can literally take that one video, turn it into multiple assets, and you've got your whole content for a week. It's pretty crazy. One coaching session, 8 different pieces of content. And that is the shift. You stop asking, what the hell am I supposed to post today? And you start asking, what did I fix, teach, or prove this week? And who is the right person that needs to see this? Your coaching creates the raw material. The proof method packages it, okay? One session can show the client's original problem, your coaching sessions, the correction, the result, the client's own words, and that is extremely important. The philosophy behind your approach, and that gives your content depth. Okay, this shows you're a real coach, not some internet bloody flog that's just selling a bullshit program online. You're not creating more work. You're literally just extracting more value from the work you're already doing. F is fuel the pieces that works. And this is, if you're a coach you're making 8 to 15K a month, you add in this one piece, and this is the difference between you making 15K and 30K a month, okay? Especially if you're a really good coach. Currently, we've got a guy right now, he's doing 2 million a year inside of his gym. And doing this one last piece is what's actually helped him get to grow 30 sales last week inside of his gym, just by taking one piece of content, following this exact framework, and then putting the gas on it. Once the content is created, publish it organically, then pay attention to the signals that matter, okay? Shares, saves, DMs, profile visits, leads, consultations, and sales. Don't look at it from views and likes. We want to look at it from really high signals that actually matter to your business. A post with 20 likes that starts 3 conversations with the right people, literally, like, it could be the worst post ever, but people reach out or they really resonate with it, is better than a reel with 100,000 views. I notice I've got a couple of reels with 7 million views, not one conversation except for hate. But I've got posts with 10 likes, and it's led to a really amazing client. Attention is not the goal. Relevant attention with the right person is the goal. Okay, this is exactly what's happened with one of our one-to-one clients, Jacob. We took a real coaching session. This is his whole entire strategy for his $2 million a year gym right now, is taking a real client, or a real coaching session, turning it into a proof content using the proof method, turning it into multiple assets, and using the strongest pieces in advertising. Okay, so for context, he's spending about $900 to $1,000 a day on his ads right now on these specific pieces of content. For a newer coach, what you can do is spend $20 a day on these really strong pieces of content, get them in front of the right people, and it absolutely works, an absolute charm. Okay, this method for Jacob has contributed to, he sold 30 sales last week, while his cost to acquire a customer has essentially dropped. Okay, so he's gone from nearly $100 to acquire or per lead. Now he's down to about $30 to $40 a lead. So he's under halved his cost per lead, which has been phenomenal. So what we want to do now is we take your free proof content and then we turn it into paid advertising, and we can start with a really small budget with this. What do you do with that is then you take it and boost it to your local neighborhood, getting local reach, getting more clients that you want, even in your local gym. It makes a huge difference. So the cool thing about these days is you do not need to become an influencer. You do not need to give up half your coaching week to create content. You do not need to become a full-time content creator. You simply need to stop letting exceptional coaching disappear. Use the proof method, build one repeat, pick the right client, record the real coaching, outline the problem, correction, and outcome, output it across multiple assets, then fuel the pieces that work. Your best marketing is already happening on the gym floor. You just need a system to make it visible. If you want a complete breakdown of the proof method, comment proof below or use the link in our description. And if you're an exceptional coach, but your business and online presence still don't reflect the quality of your work you're doing, apply for a free Empire order down below in the link below, or send me a DM at Dylan Limitless on Instagram, and we can have a no obligation chat. As I said, I'm a coach who's just sharing what's working for him. We are currently making over $500,000 a year as a coach right now, in person, online, and helping coaches as well. We'll identify exactly what's holding you back in your business, and we'll map out the biggest moves you need to make over the next 90 days. You don't need to become a content creator. You just need to make your coaching more visible. And as soon as you understand this, you'll realize that this stuff is much more easier, and it's why your great coaching is your biggest advantage right now.